T.O. The Phans look real, you know it's a deal. There's blood, sweat, and tears all up in his huddle with water to cook up a meal. My coaching into it, the combo was chill. Play action to chase, got hunger to feel. The cheetah is loose, he's going for blood. The end of the race only went for the kill. Miami, the city, the county, the block. We steady impact, tails in the lot. Defense is strong and hard as a rock. Holland's a lock, and next one's a spot. Getting too hot, so turn up the fan. You look to the crowd, see Jimmy and Bam. Martin, Joe, and Sosa the mans. Your fellas, roll the clip, only fans.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to OnlyFans, a Dolphins postgame show presented by Sports with Soso. I'm your host, Joel, aka the Delusional Dolphin. And before I go ahead and introduce my co-host, I just want to remind you all to go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you have subscribed, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, and be a friend and tell a friend. Now we got that out the way, I want to introduce my co-host here every week with me. Doesn't miss a show. Soso, what's going on, brother?
What's up, man? Rough game. Exciting game, but a rough game.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. We're going to get into all that. We just got to shout out Martin, again, who wasn't able to make it this week. We'll miss you, Martin. Can't wait to have you back on the show. I'm sure he has a lot to say about this game, but we're going to have to get into it for him. Like you said, man, hell of a game. I mean, I thought this was quite possibly, one of the better games that I've seen this season. For sure. From, who we were playing to how we played to the final result. It wasn't the result that we wanted per se, especially after losing the last two games on the road in California. But there was a lot of good that came out of this game. And, we're going to go ahead and get into that. So the Dolphins go into Buffalo and we end up losing on a last-second field goal, 32-29. And which drops us down to 8-6 now as our record. The Bills improved to 11-3 and clinch a playoff spot. But again, like I said, phenomenal game, a lot of action, a lot of things that happened.
No, it was a great game. You know what I mean? And more importantly, you got to feel good with how the Dolphins played, right? In a tough environment, going on the road, snowing, all this stuff. But for me, it felt like we needed to win this game because now we find ourselves in the midst of another 3-game losing streak where we were leaving. Technically, we're not necessarily leaving our hands to the fate of the NFL as far as the playoffs goes. We're still in control of that. But the momentum that you want to build heading into the playoffs, right, it has to be built off successes. It can't be like you backdoor your way into the playoffs. And this loss is really going to set us back, man.
I mean, the loss does set us back when you the 3 losses, right? Or even the 6 losses we've had on the season. The 3 where Tua was hurt and out, and now these 3 where we've had a tough road trip. I mean, playing the Niners, one of the best defenses in the NFL today, one of the best teams in the NFL today. Playing the Chargers at Chargers, we could have beat them. We know we could have beat those guys, but in another game where we just didn't look like ourselves. And then, yes, granted, we lose this 3rd game in a row. But again, man, a lot of positives. Let's jump right into it. So we start this game, and one of the immediate things that everybody noticed, if you've been watching Dolphins games all year, was the fact that we did something this game that we hadn't done pretty much all season, and that was run the ball on back-to-back possessions. The first 2 plays, it was amazing. It was amazing to see, and that was we saw Mike McDaniel's make an adjustment. I gotta give McDaniel's a shout out because we talked about what he needed to do to adjust into this game. Everybody knew it. If you watch football, football. Even to some extent, you got to run the ball. We shout out to my boy Gio. We had a conversation last week. He was like, man, the Dolphins are too one-dimensional. Everybody knows what we're going to do. We're going to throw the ball across the middle on timing routes, and we don't really got anything else. And we needed to change that up in order to beat a Bills team or even compete with a Bills team like this. And we did, man. We put the ball on the ground with Raheem Mostert 17 times for 136 yards. Yeah. Salvon Ahmed added to that with 6 carries for 43 yards, but change of pace, though, from what we've been seeing over the last few weeks as far as the run game.
For sure, and it's what we've been calling for. Realistically, we needed the running game in order to balance out this team, and in order to make the defense that we're facing kind of just respect everything that we can do, respect our running game, respect the passing game, give our offensive line a time to reset and not just pass block. When we started out running the ball yesterday, you see the improvement immediately on how the offense is able to move the ball, gain some yardage, get first downs. It was almost a tale of damn, this team is brand new because you give Raheem Mostert 17 carries, which is probably the most any running back has gotten this year so far, and he produces. And it's like, damn, why don't we run the ball more often? It was obviously effective against the Bills, who have a great defense, right? Like a great defense. Why couldn't we run the ball against the Niners? Why couldn't we run the ball against the Chargers? Or even in victories, why couldn't we run the ball against Houston and other teams? And credit to Mike McDaniel for realizing that that's the biggest hole in his arsenal. But at the same time, I kind of need to see it more often. You know what I mean? I need to see it more often.
And we've been crying for it all season, man. I know Martin is probably, if he's watching this, he's shouting. He's like, we finally ran the ball. We finally did what we needed to do. Something else that I wanted to point out with Raheem Mostert, man, huge play. I mean, we had some big plays in this game. Raheem Mostert had one of the biggest plays in a 67-yard run where he bulldozed his way, into Bill's territory, got us down into the red zone by himself, single-handedly pretty much. And the schemes on the run, those runs weren't anything crazy. It was just guys picking up their assignment, making the blocks they needed to make, and then the running backs were doing their job, finding the hole and just exploding. Mostert looked really fast on that play. He looked like he couldn't get taken down. They even called a horse collar tackle on the guy that ended up bringing him down, because he was going to make his way all the way to the end zone. The bad thing is I don't think we walked away with a touchdown at that point. I think we walked away with a field goal. So we would have liked to see a little bit.
That was the story of the first half, right? Like where we saw passes not being caught. We saw the offense getting all the way to the goal line and having an inability to make the final play, to finish off the drive, to complete the task and get the points. We left easily 12 points on the field in the first half, where we could have either kept the drive going or caught a touchdown. We end up, not necessarily like settling for the 3 points, but it's like, fuck, we can't risk going on it for fourth down here because of the team that we're playing, because of the environment we're in. We need this execution on third down. And when you look at it, third downs were pretty much an issue for the Dolphins, 5 of 14. You know what I mean? Not necessarily great because you had plenty of opportunities, and those killed your drives to score touchdowns.
Yeah. First quarter ends up 7-3 with the Bills on top. The second quarter was where we see a little bit some more fireworks. We end up having that run to Salvin Ahmed when we're down in the red zone. And we end up with 3 minutes left in that first half. We end up almost tying it up 13-14. Here's the troublesome part though. And I know you want to get into this. 3 minutes left in the first half. We just need to make these guys not get anywhere near the red zone. And not only do they get to the red zone, they end up scoring with 0 seconds left on the clock. Too much time for Josh Allen. That was another theme. Our defense, I thought, our D-line, our rushers, I thought they played okay. They could have got to Josh Allen a little bit more often and disrupt his playmaking ability. But on that play right there, man, it just goes to show you how formidable opponent, Josh Allen is, keeping that play alive, extending it, waiting for his receivers to get open, and then just making a beautiful pass into the back of the end zone where he was able to find James Cook. And they go up on us 21-13 going into the half.
And the worst part about that, Joel, is besides them scoring before the half, right, where they would ultimately get the ball to start the second half, it's how they get it, right? A Josh Allen run for a first down. He breaks a tackle, gets some extra yardage. The guy the running back, Singletary, we have him locked down in the backfield. He gets a push and gets a first down, penalty. And it's like, all right, this is the part where the defense bends too much for me. They bend too much. It's like, oh, bend but don't break, bend but don't break. No, when you bend too much, you're going to break. And we broke on many times in the defense this game, where it was like, damn, we had him and we can't complete the task. Damn, we have him, we can't bring him down. We only had 2 sacks on Allen. One of them was a huge sack, the strip fumble, right?
Sure.
Which was a huge play by Phillips. But it wasn't enough because he had time to throw. He had time to
too much time.
Run to the left, to run to the right, and find somebody else or take off if he didn't feel it. You know what I mean? And it was like, all right, this is why I say, like, this defense, and anybody who says this is a great defense is just completely blind. They're not watching the product on the field. Call it injuries, call it whatever you want, but the performance hasn't been there from last year to this year.
We've definitely,
and a lot of it is the same.
We've definitely regressed as a defensive unit. I think that something else I wanted to note. So, one of the things in that drive that happened where the Bills scored right before the half, we lost Javon Holland for a moment there. I think that was in the second quarter. He went out of the game, went to the locker room. We didn't know what was going to happen. That's a big proponent for us on defense because of the fact that Xavier Howard has been such a letdown this year after getting paid. And then, we move on. The interesting part was that we got the ball to start the game. So the Bills scoring last second in that last possession of the first half, they were getting the ball back to start the second half. And it was like, all right, do the Bills have momentum? Well, we were able to stop the Bills, when they first come out of the half. And then I think this was our first possession was one of the biggest plays of the game, which was Tua over to Waddle for a 67-yard touchdown. Right. Where he just got behind the secondary, and once he caught that ball, I mean, there was nobody that was catching up to this guy.
3 plays, 73 yards. That's the exact response you needed, right? You get a defensive stop, 3 and out, boom, force the Bills to punt, get the ball, and immediately put up a touchdown to say, hey, we're still in this game, we're still here to compete, we're here to get this shit done. And credit to Waddle, man. He had an amazing game. He ended up the game with I think it was like 17 catches or 3 catches for 114 yards. Big bounce back game for him. You know what I mean? Because he's been relatively quiet. Tyreek Hill also had a lot of receptions. I think he had 9 receptions on that game.
Yep.
And critical first downs, big catches. But like I said, when the big play needed to be made, Sherfield dropped one.
Man, that Sherfield would be touchdown, man. Tua couldn't have thrown a better ball, man, inside low, only where Sherfield could have got it. That was early on. That was still first half.
But still, it just sets the stage for like, hey guys, I'm playing all right. Everybody says I can't play in the weather, I can't throw in the weather. That's all laid to rest because Tua did the best that he could yesterday in all of those conditions, and we still had a chance to win the game.
And his stats don't even like really jump off out the page.
Correct.
17 for 30, 234 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, you look at that and you're like, that might not be enough. But like, if you watch the game itself, I mean, Tua was doing what he needed to do, and he proved again. He's looked a little off as far as his accuracy the last couple of weeks, which is what we always tout about Tua being one of the most accurate quarterbacks. And I don't think there was a play that epitomizes how accurate he is more than that touchdown to Tyreek Hill with 3 minutes left in the third quarter.
It was on the money. And what's impressive is, like, again, the fight that we see from the team to score 2 touchdowns, right, in the third quarter, dominate an entire quarter against a Buffalo team that was really, really kicking our ass, right, on the D-line and on the O-line. So we come back, we make it a game. We're the first team to score, completely shut them out, right, in the third quarter, and then we score another field goal to start the fourth quarter, and it's like, all right, guys, we're here, we're ahead, let's keep this game going. And then the last 10 points of the game came from the Bills, and that touchdown that they scored was the one that showed me that this defense is not ready. It's not ready to play on the highest stages for like a championship or something like that, man. Because those 2 plays, they just had 22 plays and like 150 something yards to get the game going.
Yeah. So we talked. I mean, we talked throughout the game about everything. We text and everything as things are going on. And right. Yeah, fourth quarter happens. You mentioned it earlier. Jalen Phillips with a monster strip sack. Shout out to that man. I guess warming up with no shirt and in just your shorts in 20-degree weather works because he had a phenomenal game, man. He was there. He was cleaning things up. He was disrupting plays. He got to Josh Allen and forced a fumble on him, which our Power Ranger was right there. Shout out to Mark Sanchez. The only good thing he said yesterday, Johnny on the spot. Christian Wilkins was there to recover that fumble. And, this is to start the fourth quarter, essentially. And we're thinking, oh, my goodness, we are up right now 29 to 21 or 26 to 21. And we have the ball now in the fourth quarter off a turnover at midfield. I mean, dude, a touchdown here would go such a long way. And unfortunately, it didn't happen that way. We end up settling for 3 points. I can't remember right now exactly how it all went down, but I know we walk away with 3 points, which takes it to a 1-possession game with about 10 minutes left. And of course, the Bills are going to do what the Bills do. They're going to come down the field quick, and they're going to end up scoring on you, which they did with a Dawson Knox touchdown. They tie up the game, at which point we get the ball. Now, we talked about, the defense. The defense, the Bills get the ball back with 6 minutes left, and the defense needed to make a stop. There's a 3rd and 17 that happens where they're pinned back, in their own territory, where we end up letting a 20-yard pass go across the middle to Gabe Davis. It keeps the chains moving for them. They end up, Josh Allen has a big run. There ends up being a pass interference on, later in the drive. They end up just eating up 6 minutes of the game right there. And they don't even want to score. They just want to, run it down to the last seconds and get that field goal and get the win, which is ultimately what they did. But if you're going to say that this is the defense's fault, well, you can also, come back and look at the offense and say, hey, man,
True.
We needed you guys here because we know Buffalo, this has been a long time coming for Buffalo. This isn't an overnight thing. Buffalo, the AFC East has run through Buffalo for the last few years. Josh Allen has been in the works, has been in the making with Sean McDermott for the last 5 years. This team has been, doing everything that we want to do essentially in the next 3 to 4 or 5 years, right? And they got the short end of the stick last year in the playoffs against Kansas City due to a rule. So you can see how savvy McDermott is, that he's like, hey guys, we're not even going to try to score quickly to give the Dolphins a chance to even tie it up.
I mean, they had the touchdown run. They had the touchdown run, and the guy went down. So I think it was Singletary.
He gave himself up short, and which is smart, man. That's smart football. That's going to win. That's playoff football. And you got to give credit where credit is due. But going back to our last possession of the game, a couple plays happened there. So I don't know if you remember that. Tyreek Hill, he gets a little slant. He ends up sliding like 10 yards in the ice, right? Then we have an electric play that goes down to Cedric Wilson where he makes one of the catches of the game off the defender's helmet. Yeah, great catch, man. And we're thinking, oh, good. Okay, we're getting the ball rolling here with 6 minutes left. We need to put the pressure on. We need to put something on the board and force them to answer.
Yeah, a touchdown, not even a field goal, because
man, is that even at that point? I would have taken a field goal, just some points, because then at that point you force them to score, and who knows? Maybe we get the ball back with 45 seconds a minute.
That's like
whatever.
That's like giving the Chiefs an opportunity to score a touchdown to beat you. They're gonna score that touchdown.
Sure. But obviously hindsight is 2020. But then we just stalled out, man. We did a run play. I'm tongue tied here. Run play. Then we did another play. Didn't work out. And then we had a weird 3rd down pass to Durham Smythe where he wasn't even past the sticks to pick up that 1st down. He gets blown up, and we end up having to punt the ball away, which is when we get to the Bills getting the ball and inside like the 10-yard line. Correct. And are just able to move it the length of the field. I think a 92-yard drive was what they had to, and which they capped off with a 25-yard field goal to win the game.
You can kind of point out to like the play calling there, but I feel like it's just the execution part on the players. You know what I mean? The players didn't really execute to their best ability. Like Waddle had a couple of passes that he dropped early in the game. Smythe drop pass. Gesicki had one catch. Sherfield with a couple of drops. It's just the playmakers or the skilled players didn't do their best, because you look at Tua's numbers and it's like, man, it's not overwhelming, but he also didn't make any mistakes. He really didn't. He played as clean as a game as you want him to, and ultimately we had a shot to win the game, right? With him as doing the things that he was doing. This is what concerns me about this Dolphins team, because like 5 weeks ago, people were talking about this team being a Super Bowl contending team. There is no way that this offense or this defense that has as many issues as we have right now can win a Super Bowl, let alone make a Super Bowl. Can we win games? Hell yeah. Can we win games on the road? Yeah, we've proven that. Can we win games against tough opponents? Just not there yet, because this would have been it. This game, or winning in the fashion that we could have won this game, 4th quarter, coming back after being down more than 17 points, this, that, and the third, it would have been an amazing victory. And it really would have showed all the Dolphins fans like, damn, we really do have something. Now, what we got to think about in relation to this game is like, all right, yeah, I don't want to say we took a moral victory, because it really isn't the way that the NFL season has gone. But we found things that we can be successful at. How can we turn this into the next 3 games to guarantee our playoff spot? We're at 8 wins now. You need at least, and you and I have spoken about this, 10 wins minimum to even give yourself a shot. Realistically, you need 11 to guarantee yourself the playoff spot. Can the Dolphins get there? This was a game that they had to have. And I think that 4th quarter, just letting the Bills come back and score the last 10 points of the game just shows us that we're not there yet. We're not there yet to compete with a team like that.
I'm going to go ahead and disagree, dog. I think that this game absolutely proves that we are there and we can compete. We now split with Buffalo. We won our home game. It was a tight game, and we were able to win that one early on. When we didn't have chemistry, we didn't have a whole lot of experience. And then we're able to bounce back after it's all about context for me, man. And we went on a tear during those 5 games where we stepped up our game to a place where we, as fans, have never seen the Dolphins perform. And 2 bad games in a row, that goes out the window for everybody. Everybody goes, yeah, we suck again, bro. This is the worst Dolphins team we've ever seen. And it's like, whoa. We've had 2 bad games against good opponents. It's not like, we let up 50 points to the Texans or whatever. We let up 32 points to the Buffalo Bills. This was the favorite for the Super Bowl going into the season.
Right.
And you talked about a moral victory. Absolutely, this is a moral victory for me as a fan. Watching the product on the field. It doesn't go down as a win, which is what we want and what we need at the end of the day. But holy shit, man. I mean, this was a performance where you go, yes, we can absolutely perform on any given Saturday or Sunday or Monday or Thursday. We can perform at the highest level when everything is clicking. However, we didn't have everything clicking on the secondary. I shit on the secondary a lot because of the fact that there's a lot of issues in that secondary. And to me, you can say the D-line didn't get to Josh Allen enough. Well, dude, you got to give credit where credit is due. Josh Allen is a madman. That guy's a beast. He's the best quarterback potentially in the league,
And their offensive line is killing it. They're playing
and their offensive line is fantastic. Even though they had a backup right tackle or right guard and they lost their center halfway through, they were still able to make those adjustments. And Josh Allen didn't bat an eyelash. I mean, he's that good. So it comes down to then our secondary, in my opinion, where, man, we need to be playing the ball. We can't be having these stupid pass interference calls because you're not even looking back and playing the ball, right? We can't have you, pushing a guy out of bounds like Josh Allen after he's already out of bounds and then picking up an unsportsmanlike conduct or whatever late in the game. I mean, those are the kinds of things we need to improve on and stay disciplined on, in these late games. But all around, man.
But that's why I tell you, like, that there is no moral victory and there is no sense of like, damn, this team can do it right now. Can they do it? Yeah, maybe, right? They're definitely heading in that direction. But we're talking about right now. They can't do it right now. I'm
looking at the bigger picture as a Dolphins fan. I'm not looking at just this season. Yes, of course. Now our playoff hopes are, in limbo. We don't know what's going to happen. We have 3 games left. We come home now. We face the Packers at home, and we still got 2 more division rivals in the Patriots and the Jets. You would argue we got to win these 3. I have said before, hey, even if we lose this Buffalo Bills game and we go 3 games in a row where we lose, I think we can close out with 3 victories, because we've seen a streak in both directions. So it's not completely out of the realm for us to possibly win out. Now, does that mean it guarantees us a playoff spot? I don't know, but it's trending in the right direction. This Buffalo Bill team, where it stands today, this didn't happen overnight, man. These guys have been working on this for the last 5 years, with the cultivation of Sean McDermott and his staff and bringing in Josh Allen and then the defense, making sure that defense is elite. And even then, I mean, Doug, if you're gonna try to, throw the shame on our defense, I mean, this Buffalo Bills defense, which is phenomenal, led up 29 points to this Miami Dolphins team. We did our thing. So that's why I say we can compete with the best on any given day.
Here's my thing, right? Like, obviously, neither one of those 2 teams played their best football yesterday, right? Like, clearly the Bills had a bunch of things that they could have improved on.
What game are you watching, bro?
All right, trust me, there was penalties on both sides. There was drop passes on both sides, bad tackling, bad defense. Both teams did not play their absolute best game yesterday.
You're a harsh critic, dog.
No, bro. Because think about what we're talking about, Joel. We're talking about 2 good defenses. If both defenses play their best, that game is 17-14. It's not 29-23.
Yeah, but
both defense showed up. I get it.
To the offense, but these
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Well. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because, like, again, it just shows the levels. We've talked about it, and this is why I disagree with you with this season and even your view on the Dolphins, because you're thinking like a 5-year period. Like, yeah, in 5 years, if this is the pace that we're going, we're gonna be great. Okay, but in the year-to-year thing that is the NFL, things always change, and things from last year don't necessarily translate into the next year. So that's why I feel like we just have to focus on this year, especially it being Mike McDaniel's first year. We have to see what it is that he's gonna do, how he came plans, how he bounces back from victories and losses, right? Like this was a real good example of him doing an excellent job of bouncing back from those losses. We killed him for the running game. Nationally, he got killed for the running game. What do we see this game? The running game emerges and it looks great. It's like, okay, cool, Mike McDaniels, I see that. So yeah, you're showing your progression. But if we're looking at this season, if we're looking at this team as it currently stands, right? This team is not prepared to battle with a team like Buffalo in the playoffs. A, we haven't seen these guys be able to do it because we haven't even been in the playoffs. And then B, we haven't seen these guys play enough consistent football to say, yeah, they can do this in the playoffs or they can do this at the next level. Yet to be seen. We need to get there first. Now we have these 3 games, right? Or we had this game that could have potentially made it easier for us to get to those playoffs, right? Now we lose this game. We have 3 more tries to solidify that. And the Dolphins have to make it happen. It won't be it won't be a good season if we miss the playoffs, right? There's no way that you feel good about this season, no matter who plays well, who does, like Tyreek does 2,000 yards, Tua throws for 60 touchdowns. If we don't make the playoffs, it's all for shit. Don't you agree?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Playoffs is the goal, dog.
It is. It always is, man. It always is the goal. But I mean, if you're a Dolphins fan and you've been a Dolphins fan for the last 20 years, you know, where the division ran through New England for the most part, and our only chance of making the playoffs was having an elite record and catching a wild card spot. Did that once in 20 years. And then now, you know, the tide has changed and now it all runs through Buffalo. So Buffalo is 2 games ahead of us. They're locked in the division. You know, I'm looking at the rest of the AFC here, and you got the Chiefs at 10-3, you got the Bengals at 9-4, the Titans lead the division at 7-6, and then the Ravens they lost yesterday 9-5.
Right.
You know, I don't know. You know, I can't comment or speculate yet. You know, we don't know. There's still 3 games left in the season. You know, where we could make the playoffs. You know, in a wild card situation, but
we could miss out the playoffs as well.
But if we finish off the season, we get out of these next 3. Let's say we only manage to pull off 2 wins. And we finished the season with 10 games won, and we just missed the playoffs.
Failure.
I don't think it's a complete failure, because at the beginning of this season, nobody had the Dolphins winning 10 games with a first-year head coach and a guy that nobody wanted to draft in Tua Tagovailoa. I mean,
it's a failure. It's a failure.
It's not a complete failure, man. I disagree.
1,000%. 1,000%. Because look, number one, we should have made the playoffs last year, and you admitted that, right?
Yeah, there was one game. I mean, everybody knows there was one game where we lost that we should have won.
So the team is essentially the same. We bring back the defensive coordinator. We improve everything on offense, right? We win a bunch of games in the season, and you're going to say that you're going to be okay with not making the playoffs? Hell no. It's a complete failure if we miss the playoffs, dog. Regardless of Mike Daniel being a first-year coach or not. The table was kind of set for him when he got here. It's not like he came in and got to his first year, had to find running backs, had to find this, no, everything was here and given to him when he got here. So he's got to make the playoffs.
So we had Raheem Mostert last year and Jeff Wilson.
No, but we got him this year.
And we had, you know, I don't know.
But he wasn't the coach last year, Joel. He's the coach.
That adds to my point. He came into a problem. All these issues off the field with the Dolphins, with the fines and the NFL. Yeah, he came into a talented team, man. But how many times do we see coaches that get all this talent and they don't know what to do with it?
So again, but then it's not the talent that's here; it's the coaching, and he was brought here to change all of that. And if he doesn't make the playoffs, it's gonna look bad for him.
Again, I disagree. This is gonna be an interesting one. I want to know.
Hold on, I just want to say something. You're in that small percentage of Dolphins fans waking up this morning saying, "Man, I feel really good about this loss," or "I feel really good about our chances to do well in the playoffs." Majority of the Dolphins fans are looking at this like, "Damn, we're gonna get into the playoffs, but I don't know about that first game. I don't know if we can win that first game, especially if we have to travel to Cincinnati, Baltimore, or anything like that."
I hear you, man. I know you're a harsh critic of this team. We can agree to disagree, but I want to know from you guys, the viewers, whoever's watching, you know, if the Dolphins don't make the playoffs, is this season a complete failure? Is it playoffs or bust? Yeah. I say no. I don't think it's a complete failure if we don't end up making the playoffs. Soso says throw everybody away and start over next year.
That's not what I said.
I'm just putting words in your mouth at this point.
All I mean is that with how good this team is, Joel, you and I both know how good this team can be, dog. Right? Like we know the real potential of this team. It would be really frustrating to see these guys not even live up to the expectations after seeing it. You know what I mean? Because we've seen it in flashes this year for sure.
Yeah, no, I definitely have, man. And that's why I say, I think that we can't compete with anybody. And I think that if we don't make the playoffs, I think we will. I think we have a very good chance of making the playoffs, even after this 3-game skid. But if we don't, if we win the next 3 games, and for some reason, mathematically, we're still not in the playoffs and we're finished the season at 11-6 now.
Yeah,
I can't say this season was a complete failure. They've put on excellent performances. They've given us a reason to wake up on Sunday and put on Dolphins colors and go out there and be fans. And we've had some good games this season, man. We got 3 more. We need to turn this 3-game losing streak into a 3-game win streak to give us a fighting chance. And hopefully we'll be having that conversation in 4 or 5 weeks about the playoffs and what we can and can't do.
I hope so too.
But man, this has been a long one, man. This was an interesting game. Again, there was a lot that happened here. I'm glad we got to break it all down. Before we go off, before we head out to there, you got any other final thoughts? Any other comments on the game?
I'm gonna save it for the podcast. Make sure you guys tune in. Sports with So dropping this Tuesday. We're in the building. We're gonna be talking a lot of Dolphins.
Oh yeah. We gotta continue this conversation then. But all right, let's get it, man. Take it to our 3 and out.
This is our 3 and out, presented to you by Empire BTQ. They are the official sponsors of the OnlyFans drip. Get your Palm Ave Hialeah t-shirts. They're only available there. They got the new Zoom team, that t-shirt with Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Fire. I got mine in the closet. Make sure to check them out. Empire BTQ. This is where we give you our bruh moment of the game, our oh shit moment of the game, and our aqua and orange lining, our underwhelming performance of the game. Excuse me. Bro moment, underwhelming performance, and our aqua and orange lining. Joel, for me, the bro moment of this game was running the ball. Running the ball for those first 2 plays. I was like, oh shit, this guy finally heard us, man. Finally heard Dolphins Nation and said, you know what, let's give some carries to these guys back here. They're pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good bro moment there. My bro moment, we alluded to it. We talked about it earlier in the game. Not Tyreek Hill. Tua, perfect pass inside, exactly where he needed to Sherfield. Hits Sherfield right in the chest, and he just can't come up with the pass. With the catch. I mean, come on, bro. What are we doing? We need you. Like you've come through for us all year. We've shouted your name. We said how great you've been in the limited time that you've had action and got the ball. We needed that one from you, big guy. We needed that one from you. So I hope you make up for it next week.
What about underwhelming performance? For my underwhelming performance, it's a collective. It's the defensive backs, man. I didn't see these guys really make a play. They let the Buffalo Bills receivers come up with everything, right? There's not one takeaway that we had in the air. We couldn't get to Josh Allen, and the DBs just they weren't there this day, man. Howard continues to get burned left and right. Like, I don't know what it is, man, but the DBs ain't having it. What about you?
I'm gonna follow that, man. I'm not gonna go ahead and say the DBs altogether because, man, Javon Holland is a beast, and we got to shout out Javon Holland again because he left the game. He left the game, and then he came back and he channeled his inner Zach Thomas with that cowboy collar, and he ended up making some big plays for us. I think right now he's playing, as far as our secondary, he's our most elite weapon because Xavier Howard is not in, and that's my underwhelming performance, man. For some reason, these DBs, they get paid and then they just don't have that fire anymore. And he was getting, ragdolled, man. I mean, he was just getting routes ran all over him by Stephon Diggs. He had 4 tackles I'm looking at here, nothing else. I mean, come on, man. We need you doing something. We need you disrupting. We need you to step up, man. You're our ace, and you're not doing that for us. Especially when we got guys in there, like Keon Crossan and Noah Igbenabi, that they're trying their best, but come on, let's be real. Those guys, they're not Xavier Howard, and we need Howard to step it up and play better, man.
For sure. Let's wrap it up with the aqua and orange lining. For me, the aqua orange lining is the next 2 home games that we got, right? We got 10 days before we have to face the Packers. And I think we just need to make the most out of these next 3 games and especially at home. Win the games at home. That's the aqua and orange lining. We're playing at home 2 out of these last 3.
Yeah. My aqua and orange lining is the fact that just the game itself, the bounce back of the game itself. We had 2 weeks where we struggled against teams where, arguably we should have competed with. That was my issue with those last 2 losses. we took ourselves out. We didn't even compete with those guys. We just and that's kind of been the theme for our losses, that this loss right here, that's why I take it a little bit better, because we competed to the very end. This game came down to literally the last seconds of the game. And that's my aqua and orange lining, because of the fact that we show that we can compete with a Super Bowl contending team like the Buffalo Bills in their stadium, on the road with the weather that they had last night. That's my aqua and orange lining, man. This Dolphins team is very talented, and I think that we have a very good chance still of turning this season around and getting 3 wins here in the next 3 weeks, starting with those 2 home games. So
gotta get that first one against the Packers, though.
Got to get it, man. Wow. This has been a very, very long edition of OnlyFans.
Nice.
Thank you guys. If you guys made it to the very end, thank you guys for watching. We appreciate all the love and support. We're going to keep bringing this to you guys, the next 3 weeks, and potentially, hopefully, fingers crossed, a couple more weeks after that. Now, again, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, leave a comment, all that good stuff. Be a friend and tell a friend about the show.
Yes, sir.
And on behalf of Soso, this is Joel signing off. We'll catch you guys next week. Peace.